Hello, bonjour. Welcome to the third lesson of my French course for beginners. If you've not watched the previous lessons, the links are there in the description box. If you're starting from scratch or looking for a refresher, you should start from lesson number 1. What we are going to do in this lesson is first do a quick recap, come activity based on what we had learned in lesson number 2, which was se présenter, which means how to introduce yourself, and then we will start the topic of lesson number 3. So let's quickly look at what we have in terms of recap today. So a sentence has multiple parts, right? You have a subject, you have verbs, you have object, you have pronouns. Based on whatever sentences we had used in our lesson number 2, I had asked you to identify the verbs. Verbs are the action words in a sentence, because you cannot be taught all the words by any professor, okay, or in any class. You have to do a lot of self-learning. For that, it is very important that whenever you identify, keep an eye for new words. When you see a new word, you look it up in dictionary, and then you try to understand the use of that word so that you can learn it, remember it, and keep using it in new sentences. Alright, so I have identified some verbs which we used in the previous lesson. What you should do is look for the meaning and conjugation. Now conjugation, we will do it later in our course, but conjugation is nothing but different forms of a verb. In French, the verbs take different forms based on the subject and the gender of the subject, and there are many things. We will do them one by one, but you need to understand on tenses also. Like in English also, we have say go is a verb, but you have go, went, gone. What are these? These are conjugations. But in French, you have way too many. Okay, so what you should do, I will read out these verbs for you. Go online. So the platform that I refer to mostly is wordreference.com. You have conjugations also, and you have the meanings also. So the verbs here are s'appeler. What was the sentence that we used this in? Je m'appelle Archa. My name is Archa. So s'appeler is the verb which means to call. But in French, how do we ask for name, or how do we tell our name? I call myself Archa. How do you call yourself? Comment allez-vous? This was there in previous lesson. Habiter is to stay or live. Épeler is to spell, and I'm repeating it here. Wherever you see this accent, small accent on E, your E will give A sound. Venir. Venir is to come. Pouvoir. The meaning is here. Pouvoir means to can. Let me just put it here. Can. To can sounds very weird in English, but you can say can. Alright. Pouvoir. Être means to be. It's one of the most used words. In English also we have 2 helping verbs, and in French also we have 2 helping verbs. What are the helping verbs? Which help support the other verbs. Okay. So in English we have be, and the other one is have. In French also we have 2, être and avoir. We will have a separate session on them. They deserve it. But here just know that être is to be, which is a helping verb, which is called les auxiliaires. Auxiliaire in French. Now I've given a little tip. You can read it, and that's how you can, which I was talking about, that you need to keep looking for new words and learn them. Here is a small activity. I have put some words here. You need to find out and associate them with the pictures. I will just read them for you to know the pronunciation. Here it says associer les images avec les mots corrects. Associate the images with the words correct, the correct words. Alright. Le frère. Here you see A has this, like a forward slash. This is a different accent, and this is a different accent. Alright, so it gives accentuated sound stronger sound. Frère, not frère, frère. Le papa, un garçon. La sœur. You see these articles, we will again have a separate lecture on them, but these are articles. La sœur, the. La means the. La maman, une fille. La ville, les parents. Le frère, le papa, un garçon, on means a. La sœur, la maman, une fille, la ville, les parents. So that was all for the recap. Now we will dive into the topic, which is les pronoms. Pronom is pronoun. Now what is a pronoun? Pronoun is a word that replaces the subject. Pronom personnel is the word that replaces the subject. For example, Archa speaks French. Archa likes to read French books. Archa likes to teach French. Now 3 sentences, again and again Archa is getting repeated, which is not sounding okay. So what we'll do, we replace it with she, right? So it's the same thing in French as well. Now let's look at the pronouns. Je. I will not read out the meanings. You can see them on the screen. Je, tu, il, elle, on. On is very interesting. It's a third person singular pronoun, which means in general, when we are not talking about somebody specific. Like in English, we have one likes to read. So here we are talking in general. Same application we have for on in French. In spoken French, nous, which means we, is often replaced by on. It's very rare that people will use nous in spoken French. They will say on. Vous, il, elle. Now in the previous chapter we looked at tu and vous and the difference in detail. You may want to check that if you're still confused. I will read them once again, then I will read the sentences. Je parle français. Now again, this part that you're saying is the verb. It's up to you to find out which verb is this. Tu parles français. Il parle français. Elle parle français. On parle français. Nous parlons français. Vous parlez français. Il parle français. Now the pronunciation for this, even though there is an S, here also there is an S, but the pronunciation is same as this and this. Alright? Les pronoms sujet, the subject pronoun takes the position of the subject in the sentence. Okay, now let's move on. Now pronouns are also of different types. In this lesson, I'm covering one more type, which are called stressed pronouns, accentué, or pronotonique. Now let's look at them and you will understand the meaning. Moi is me. Toi is you, but in object form. For example, he is talking about you. Now in this sentence, you is not the subject of the sentence. So that's where you have you as a tonic, pronotonique. Okay, disjunctive pronouns. They are used to provide emphasis of a personal pronoun that refers to a person or group of people. English equivalent, they have given the English equivalent also. Elle, nous, vous, these 3 are same. Then means them. I like them. Je, oh no, that will not be, that will be les. Oh, there are so many pronouns. Alright. Je parle à eux. I talk to them. That's where you will use this. Elle, the feminine form of them. Okay, if you are talking about many women. Okay. Now I have put a small activity for you, which is you have these 6 sentences with different pronouns, which is clear. What you have to do is you have to look for, these are the verbs, okay? You have to look for the meaning of the verb. find out which verb is this and then associate these sentences with these images. I will just read them for you to learn the pronunciation. Je chante bien. Tu lis un livre. Il est en vacances. Il est en vacances. When read together, we do the liaison, constant vowel combination, remember? Il est en vacances. Nous dormons. Vous mangez. Il parle fort. Il parle fort. T will not be pronounced. Okay, so that's all for this lesson. Just a quick recap. What all did we learn? We learned about subject pronouns, which are very important. Then we learned about tonic pronouns. And then we did a small activity. I will see you in the next lesson. Till then, bonne journée, au revoir, ciao ciao. Don't forget to subscribe. Merci, au revoir, bonne journée.